Now we're going to move on to Murray Ford, who's Associate Professor of Environment at the University of Auckland, and he's going to talk about mapping cyclone-driven erosion. Over to you, Murray.
Good, thanks for that. Yeah, Murray Ford, School of Environment at the University of Auckland. I'm going to be talking about some work done by a larger project team driven by Mark Dixon, Emma Ryan, Megan Tuck and myself as part of the Resilience Challenge within the National Science Challenge. So we've been mapping coastal change around New Zealand over multi-decadal timescales. So most of our record of change is over the last 80 years or so. And obviously nested within that quite sparsely sampled record have been a number of prior storms. And we've been unable to attribute changes on the coast to those particular storms because we don't have a record of before and after change. And so Cyclone Gabrielle has obviously occurred at a time where we now have incredible access to high resolution satellite imagery and aerial photos and the like. So it provided an opportunity to assess how much erosion can occur during a single event. And so the aim of this project was basically to embed the changes observed as a result of Cyclone Gabrielle within that long-term 80-year record. And this is important because it provides a context. Yeah, we can see which parts of the coast have eroded back into already eroding coastline, what erosion is occurring on stable stretches, and likewise, what areas of accreting coast have perhaps had some erosion cut back into that recent accretion. And this is really important when we think about how we derive hazard zones along the coast, which typically involve some integration of a long-term and a short-term rate of change. And so we're hopeful that this will be really useful for providing that short-term storm cut within the calculation of those hazard zones. So on the next slide, we'll just see some really quick examples of what we've typically seen through this project. And we acquired commercial high-resolution imagery from before the cyclone, or as recent before the cyclone as possible, as well as close to the cyclone following as possible as well. So we tasked or acquired commercial imagery from North Cape down to the Hawke's Bay, used other sources as well, LINs and councils were also collecting imagery, so we kind of integrated that, and we see a fairly consistent pattern of between, say, 5 and 15 metres of erosion in pockets along the North Island east coast. In this example here, we see Whangamata on the left, Mahanga Beach in the northern Hawke's Bay in the centre, and then Matarangi on the Coromandel Peninsula. I guess the most interesting thing we've observed in this example is if you focus on that centre one, the Mahanga Beach has actually continued to erode quite rapidly following the cyclone. So in places, Gabrielle's kind of triggered a state change from a gradually eroding coast to a much more rapidly eroding. So if we think about that in the next slide in terms of kind of the time series of change, we can see now these are time series of how the coast has moved, whether it's accretion like we see there at Marsden Point, or stability with those blue lines, or the erosion with the yellow lines. And we can see all along that coast this little blip at the end there with maybe 3 or 4 data points, and that's the impact of Gabrielle at those different sites. So at Marsden Point, we may have had 100 metres of accretion over the last 80 years, and then Gabrielle has cut back maybe 5 to 15 metres. Likewise, other areas that have been stable have had that cut in there, and other places that are already eroding have continued. And so we're going to continue to monitor selected sites over the next kind of 12 to 24 months to see whether that erosion is continuing or whether it was a one-off episode in the kind of background behaviour of the coast at those locations. This data set and record will be combined with the Resilience Coastal Change record and published within the next kind of few months on a data platform hosted by Coordinates. So that's the work we've been doing on coastal erosion as a result of Gabrielle. Thanks.